Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now, the one-stop destination for all of you to get your stock queries answered. We have our experts today, Kunal Bothra as well as Vijay Chopra. A very good afternoon, or rather good morning to both of you all, and a very happy Friday as well. Kunal, let me come first to you. It is Happy Friday given the fact that we are coming to end of another volatile trading week. But no doubt, like I mentioned earlier as well, markets have been quite resilient given the fact that we've seen volatile stock moves as well. So in this particular market scenario, what should retail investors do to protect their wealth? How should they trade in such a market?
So I think one thing is very clear in this kind of a market, and one thing which we've observed in this kind of a market is that sticking to quality names, quality stocks have always helped investors to navigate every kind of market volatility. Now, even in the last 1.5 odd year, where there were so many factors which are moving not in favor of the equities as well as the global markets as such, even in those times, many of the quality stocks, large cap names, the blue chip companies, these stocks have performed exceptionally well. And even the last couple of months, where the markets have been hit with a lot of negative news flow, specifically to the domestic sense, even in this kind of a scenario, the large cap names have managed to withstand a lot of volatility, and they've managed to make a comeback. And we've always seen that whenever the markets get into any kind of a recovery phase or the start of a new bull market happens, it's the larger cap names which tend to perform much more stronger, and they're the ones which tend to recover. So to navigate volatility, the only sense or the more stronger sense is to always stick with large cap names and the more formidable ones.
Okay. On that note, let's get started with all your stock related queries. You can send us your queries either on WhatsApp, YouTube, or even our Twitter page. So let's get started. And the first query, Vijay, very good morning to you. I'm going to come to you for that. And we have a query coming in from Swati. Now, she's currently holding Bharat Dynamics and Zen Technologies, and Zen Technology is up 8% last week is what she's highlighting for her, and Bharat Dynamics is down 10%. Now, if she wants to invest in these two stocks again, which one of them should she be investing in?
I think that BDL is any day a better option. It is one of the major defense players in the country, and it is trading at a very good level also. So it has touched the 200 DMA, and it's around that level at 838. So I think it's a very good buying level for long-term players, and they should get into the stock right here. Actually, it fell down due to the disappointment in the budget because the finance minister did not announce anything substantial for the defense companies. So there was an expectation which was brewing in these companies. So I think that BDL is a wonderful buy at these levels for a target of close to 1,000 rupees. So very good company, very good fundamentals, Government of India backing, and definitely a very good order book as well. So when you have orders in hand, the balance sheet is okay. It's backed by good promoters like the government. So I don't think that there is an issue buying BDL at these levels.
Having some sort of an issue with Vijay's feed or network line. We will try and get that fixed till then. Kunal, coming to you, Vimla George has written to us and she's asking if it's a good idea to shift from NCC to Federal Bank at current levels for better profits. However, she's not mentioned what the buy price for her for NCC has been. But do you think it's a good strategy right now to move from NCC to Federal Bank?
No, not really. I would suggest that you should stay invested over here. Comparatively, I think NCC's chart is looking more formidable and more stronger. And with the recent breakout, the stock has shown, specifically in the last one to 2 weeks, as compared to a stock like Federal Bank, which is going through a time-wise correction. So it's again, a Federal Bank is a quality stock, but just that slight edge on the charts on the short-term basis is spotted on NCC. So I would probably suggest that not to make that switch immediately.
Okay, Kunal, I have this query coming in on NMDC. Is it a good time to accumulate NMDC at current levels? We do not know the previous buy price of the viewer.
Yeah, I think if you're a long-term investor, then it definitely makes sense to invest into the stock at current levels. It's retraced from the previous highs of 130 to now 118 levels approximately. So say somewhere around 10 to 15% is a correction the stock has already seen in the last 1 to 2 months. It's trading above the 200 moving average by a good margin. So that helps add more buffer to the stock price trend to try and absorb any kind of major market volatility. It's just that the long-term charts for the stock is still into a consolidating phase. So sooner or later when the stock breaks out, it could probably complete a major yearly retracement as well. So only if you're a long-term investor, it makes sense to buy the stock at current levels.
All right, Kunal, let me give you a breather because after this, all the questions are only directed to you. So let me take a long-term query to Vijay then. And Vijay, Rajagopalan has asked if Time Techno Plus at 100 rupees, he's already purchased this counter, he has it with him. He wants to know whether he can stay put with it and look to average right now instead. He's happy to hold the stock for the next 2 to 3 years. Do you think it makes sense to add on to positions in Time Techno Plus and hold on to this counter for a longer term?
Well, I think yes, and he should not average here. I think that if he wants to average, let it, if at all it comes around maybe 72, 73, that would be the area to average. But if he's a long-term player, he can, stay with the company. The fundamentals are seemingly good for the company. Stock is trading at a price to earning of about 9. It has a, not a very great ROC and ROE, but still it is reasonably okay. So I think that, one can stay with this company for a longer term. A good probability that maybe 1.5 years down the line, you can see the stock at about 125. So you can definitely stay invested. And if you want to average, let it, if it goes lower, only then average.
Okay. Kunal, this next query is on Venky's. Karthik from Chennai is holding 125 shares of Venky's at around 2,160 rupees on an average price. They want to know the near-term target for Venky's. Should they exit if it goes higher? What should they be doing?
So yeah, you can look to exit if it comes back to your cost price or slightly closer to that cost price of 2000 odd levels. I would believe that the stock is still going into a downward trend. So even in this downtrend, the stock tends to give you those rallies. The last two rallies, it fizzled out above its 200-day moving average. Currently, the 200 DMA is placed almost exactly at the 2000 mark, which is why I said that just slightly above the 2000 mark is where you can look to exit the stock. But if you're looking at a better bet, if you're looking out for a better bet in the similar space, I think Better Foods is something which I've been highlighting over the last 1 to 2 weeks. I'm extremely bullish on the stock from medium to long term play. So making that switch from Venky's towards a similar space, I would recommend Better Foods as a better alternative.
Okay, Kunal, this one is for you. You've given your view on Gland Pharma earlier on in this week as well, and last week I believe as well. But Santi wants further clarity on that query that he had asked on Gland Pharma, which he's holding 48 shares at a price of around 1,863 rupees per share. He's saying the break at 10% and above and 50% retracement has also been observed in a stock, but only his observation is the volumes have not, there's not been much volume movement in this particular counter. So he wants to know, what's your view regarding this one? Should he add some more at current levels? Because I believe you did say now is a good time to average, isn't it?
Well, absolutely, yes. I did mention, and I think the stock had moved up significantly higher in post that query as well. So it's moved up from the base of 1200 to now 1300. 2 days of volumes being a bit lackluster for Gland Pharma, but then I would believe that this is a classical setup of the stock going into an upward trend. So if you're looking to average from your earlier buy price of 1800 plus levels, and if you've not done it earlier, I think it's time you should do it now.
Okay. Vijay, this next query we have is from Leon. This one is on BEL as well as IOC. They have 1,000 shares of BEL at 100 rupees and IOC 1,200 shares at 83 rupees. What should they be doing with this for the long term now? Should they continue to hold it?
Surely a hold. As I said earlier regarding BDL, similarly BEL also has a very good order book. Again, backing of the government of India. India is on the way of becoming a large hub for defense, especially for Southeast Asian countries, African countries, which cannot go to France or UK or US to buy expensive arms. They are going to, come to India. And India's vision of becoming a 5 billion economy, I think defense has to play a major role. India has, the companies like HAL have delivered the airplanes and light combat aircrafts to even countries like Indonesia. So I think that BEL is very well placed at these levels. Again, at 200 DMA, 96 is a very good level to get into the stock, even if you want to buy a fresh or you want to buy more. I think that this stock can go up to 125. So BEL is definitely a hold. What was the other stock you were talking about?
IOC, Vijay.
Yeah, IOC also. We've seen a major correction from higher levels when war started. So I think the OMCs would gradually, start making money. Also, recently Prime Minister Modi has inaugurated, a test run on 20% ethanol blending. This would bring down the cost of, the fuel to a great extent. So I think that the OMCs, the OMCs like IOC, BPCL, HPCL should do well in the medium term. So keep on holding the stock. I think that they would come up very, very sharply.
Right. This one is coming to you, Kunal, from Satya, and he wants to know your strategy for Piramal Enterprises now as it is risen sharply today. He's saying he has a few hundreds at a price of around 888 rupees per share. So he wants to know whether he can hold on to this one for the next 3 to 12 months. Also, he wants to know, is it possible that this particular counter will surpass 1000 rupees per share, and do share a stop loss?
So I did mention a bullish view on Piramal Enterprise, some time back, and I had given a buy call anticipating that the stock would break out of multiple resistances, and the basis for that was the triple bottom the stock had formed in the last 2-3 months for itself on the price correction, and the range for the stock was also getting a bit more narrower, and that was a classical point of anticipating a turnaround. The stock has finally managed to do that. The events in terms of results are also at the back burner for the stock. I believe on the back of all of that, on the back of the recent bottom of formation, the stock can head towards a level of 950 to 1000. So 1000 is what I would expect as a target for Piramal Enterprise. And if you're looking at a broad stop loss, that triple bottom support just around that 805, 810 mark could be a stop loss for the trade.
Vijay, the next query is on Supriya Life Science. This one is coming in from Santosh from Delhi. They have 150 shares of Supriya Life Science at 388 rupees per share. Should they continue to hold, sell or average? What's your suggestion here?
I would recommend exit rallies because most of the pharma players. I would say even if you want to stay in the pharma space, be with the larger ones. Divi's has corrected quite a bit. Dr. Reddy's, Lupin, Cipla. These are the players to be in. So I don't think that you should be in the smaller companies. There is terribly something wrong in the pharma space. Their input costs have gone up. The APIs they are sourcing from China. They are getting expensive. And of course, in India, we are seeing a lot of generic shops coming up. So the margins have squeezed considerably. So I think that pharma is going to stay under some stress. Even if you want to be in the pharma space, be with the larger ones. So Supriya is a clear exit on rallies.
All right. This one is coming from Manish Raju, Kunal. 150 shares of Campus at a price of around 455 rupees per share. He's saying in the last two sessions, the stock is active and moving up. But what's the view on this one in the short to medium term? Should you actually go by the last 2 days of movement in this counter and expect further scope of upside, or will it consolidate?
Yeah, some activity in the last couple of days for Campus Active, but then I think the last 2 days the volumes have not been exceptionally strong, and it's just it just looks like a very short-term kind of a bounce for the stock. Now, what you should ideally do in this kind of a scenario is wait for another couple of trading sessions, and if the stock has this propensity of closing at the high point of the day, not showing any major kind of a gap down, and still maintaining the previous swing lows, previous day swing lows, then I think it makes sense that to expect that the stock is starting a new trend. So by that, I would suggest that you wait out for a couple of days, and the new support for the stock today, which is just around the 396 mark, that should be a stop loss. In case if the stock doesn't break below this level, then you can expect more uptrend to come forward for the stock, and that's where you should look to initiate a buy.
The next query we have is from Professor Thomas George, and this one is for you, Vijay. They're holding 100 shares of WPIL, which they bought at around 1,500 rupees per share. What should they do now? How is it looking fundamentally, the stock?
Well, I think today the stock has run up quite a bit. One should exit, and no point of missing such an opportunity. Just exit once and sit on cash. There are loads of opportunities available in the market. If you want to buy, I can recommend companies like UBL. Sorry, you can buy a Coal India, which is available at a very nice, enticing price. So again, exit and book profit is the call.
Kunal, this one is coming in from a Twitter user or a Twitter viewer, and his name is Sunny, and he's asked about REC. He's saying he has 620 shares of REC at a price of around 121 rupees per share. The stock is now trading ex-dividend. So he wants to know whether will you see this one surpassing his buy price of 121 rupees in the next 2 weeks?
So I'm not sure whether your price is adjusted to the dividend of the stock price, but nevertheless, I would believe yes that the stock should scale past back above that 120 mark. REC and the recent trend for REC, PFC both have been extremely strong. And these stocks have a tendency of going into V-shaped rallies and V-shaped corrections as well. But this time around, surprisingly, the stock is not going into a V-shaped correction. It's going to more of a time-wise correction. That generally is an indication that the stock is gained a lot of maturity in terms of an uptrend, and this uptrend could be here to sustain for the stock. So I would be bullish on REC from here on, and possibly retest of that 121 mark is a very high probability over the next maybe 1 to 2 months.
Kunal, actually, I'm going to come back to you because we have a short-term query, and this is from Tapas Chandra, and they're holding 75 Poonawalla FinCorp shares. They bought it at 312 rupees per share. Now they want to know your near-term target. What's the price that they should watch out for, like 3 to 6 months?
So I'm bullish on the stock. In fact, the rally and the uptrend the stock had shown in the second half of the month of December 2022 from 250-60 levels to at one point almost 310 plus mark was a very strong recovery. The stock has gone through a time-wise correction post that. So in effect, it's forming a bullish pennant formation on the charts. And these are the kind of patterns which tend to give a breakout on the upside. It's just that it's very difficult to time the breakout for such kind of stocks, and that's why we have an extended time frame over here. So if you're okay with holding the stock for the next 1 to 3 months, I would expect a possible target of 340 plus for the stock.
All right, this one is coming in from Raj, and he wants a view on latent view, 300 shares at 360 rupees per share. Can he accumulate more, Kunal?
Well, yeah, you can look to accumulate the stock more, from that perspective. But again, the recent history is a bit limited for the stock. The volumes are also not very, very high for the stock. I think it's just about a paltry 40-50,000 odd shares for the stock, given the kind of value the stock holds on. So you may look to buy the stock or average, but then I would believe because of the short-term nature of the chart patterns, I would expect maybe a short-term rally towards say 400 odd levels for the stock, not beyond that.
Okay, Vijay, this next query we have is, and this one is on PV Specialty Chemicals. We have Nageshwar from Hyderabad who is holding the stock at currently somewhere around 937 rupees is the average price. What is the fundamental outlook for this? What is the future outlook that you're looking at in terms of PV Specialty Chemicals?
Well, I think all the specialty chemical companies, have taken a beating. But I think that, these are, the long haul companies. And if at all somebody is holding, I think, they should give more time. It would take about 6 months to 1 year's time. Good possibility that it is going to come back to maybe 1,500 or 1,400. So hold is the call.
This one is from Jay Krishnan and talking about and asking a query on one of the most stocks in among the last few days, and this one is on Zomato. 53.85 rupees per share. Jay Krishnan has this holding for the medium term. What is the suggested support and the target for the medium term, Kunal?
So the suggested support would be closer to that 44 mark, which was the low the stock had hit 2 months back. Or if you can probably extend this to a round figure number of 40, which was also the base for the stock, in the last 12 odd months. I think July or August 2022 is where the stock had come back to that 40 odd mark, and from there the stock had bounced back. So that could be a major support for the stock. And if it holds on to the gain with the stock had shown in the last 2-3 days, then I believe a possible recovery towards even 60-62 is possible for Zomato.
Okay, Vijay, this next query is coming in from, okay, the viewer name is not there, and this one is on ICICI Securities. They're holding 135 shares at 609. What is the future outlook looking like? Could they continue to hold this for a long term?
I think yes, the number of clients which have been added in the last 3 years. I think all the listed broking companies, IIFL, ICICI Securities, Motilal Oswal, they should do well in the longer term. There has been pressure, yes, compliance issues, yes, but I think that if it's a long haul, somebody wants to hold for 2 years, I think definitely one should hold on to ICICI Securities.
Okay, since I have a lot of short-term queries, so let me take this one to you, Vijay. And this one is coming from Soumitra Joshi, and he wants a view on Fine Organics. What he's of the view and what he believes that he doubts that the growth in 2023 or rather FY23 will sustain in FY24. So he wants a fundamental as well as a technical view on the same. And on the fundamental side, Vijay, what he's asking you is if you can guide if the growth understanding for the next year that he has is correct or no. So do you think that fine organics will be able to sustain the FY23 growth in 24? And what are your sort of growth projections coming in for this particular counter when it comes to earnings?
Well, let me take you through the earnings. Now, starting from March 2016, it did about 660 crores. March 21, it did 1133. March 22, it was 1876. And the TTM sales growth stands at 3000 crores. So the growth is definitely there. If you look at the 5-year growth pattern, it's about 19%. 3 years, it has grown by 21%. As I said, all the specialty chemical companies, they have been facing pressure post the war due to logistic issues, due to the high cost of chemicals which they import from China. But I think that as China reopens, things are going to mellow down. It would take 6 months to 1 year's time frame. But yes, all these chemical companies, as I mentioned earlier, are long haul companies. They are, they should look at it with a lot of patience. So I think, you should have a clear stop loss of 4,400 in fine organics and keep on holding. So I think if it starts moving back, good possibility it will touch about 7,000 again. So, but it would require patience. Keep a stop loss and patiently wait.
So Kunal, quick take on fine organics. We got a fundamental take. What Vijay is of the view on this particular counter? It's a long haul counter that you should be holding on to. What's your take on the charts? How does fine organics look to you?
I would echo the view, and I think it's a very strong buy. If you've already bought at maybe higher levels or lower levels, I think you should look to even average further at current zone.
Okay, we are going to take a short detour. CM Yogi Adityanath is speaking at the UP Investor Summit. Let's go across and listen in.
सभी कॉर्पोरेट लीडर्स, पॉलिसी मेकर्स, बिजनेस डेलीगेशंस और सभी उपस्थित निवेशक बंधुओं, मैं आप सबका असीम संभावना वाले इस प्रदेश में उत्तर प्रदेश की 25 करोड़ जनता की ओर से आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का उत्तर प्रदेश ग्लोबल इन्वेस्टर समिट के आज के इस आयोजन में हृदय से स्वागत करता हूं, अभिनंदन करता हूं। हम सब जानते हैं उत्तर प्रदेश ने विगत 6 वर्ष के अंदर जो कुछ भी उपलब्धि हासिल करने की दिशा में प्रयास प्रारंभ किया है, आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के रिफॉर्म, परफॉर्म और ट्रांसफॉर्म के मूल मंत्र को अंगीकार करते हुए उनके नेतृत्व और मार्गदर्शन में ही उसे हासिल किया है। आज जब देश अपनी आजादी के अमृत काल के प्रथम वर्ष में प्रवेश किया है, इन स्थितियों में उत्तर प्रदेश को अपना दूसरा इन्वेस्टर समिट और ग्लोबल इन्वेस्टर समिट के माध्यम से वैश्विक निवेशक समुदाय को, पॉलिसी मेकर्स, कॉर्पोरेट लीडरशिप, बिजनेस डेलीगेशंस, शिक्षाविदों, पॉलिटिकल एंड गवर्नमेंट लीडरशिप को एक कॉमन प्लेटफॉर्म बनाने का यह मंच उन उपलब्धियों को आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के विजन के अनुरूप उत्तर प्रदेश की अर्थव्यवस्था को $1 ट्रिलियन की इकोनॉमी बनाने की दिशा में प्रयास का एक अभिन्न हिस्सा है। मुझे बताते हुए प्रसन्नता है कि इस ग्लोबल इन्वेस्टर समिट में नीदरलैंड, डेनमार्क, सिंगापुर, जापान, दक्षिण कोरिया, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, इटली, संयुक्त अरब अमीरात, यूनाइटेड किंगडम और मॉरिशस हमारे पार्टनर कंट्री के रूप में अपना योगदान दे रहे हैं।
Okay, and let's keep it going then with your stock related queries. Kunal, the next one is for you. This one is on Sunflag Iron. It's coming in from Lavish from Indore, holding 600 shares at 142 rupees. What is the 1 month target?
Well, I would believe maybe 148 to 150 could be a near-term target for the stock. It's facing some sort of resistance in terms of indicators, so that could probably act as a hindrance towards the stock price uptrend over the near term. So I would suggest 148 to 150 if the stock happens to come back to those levels. It's a good zone where you should look to book our profits.
Alright, with that we have to kickstart with the rapid fire then, and the first one coming your way, Kunal. This one's come from Mukil. He's writing to us from Bangalore. L&T Finance Holdings 96 call option at 2.551 lot. What sort of a target can you expect?
If it's a Feb series, then I would suggest roll it over to March.
Okay, Vijay, the viewer Chandrasekharan is holding 800 shares of SAIL at an average price of 107 for the past 1 year. They're looking to hold for another year and a half. What should they keep an eye out on in terms of targets and the fundamental view?
Well, I think one should. SAIL is a fantastic company. It can average at these levels.
Okay, Kunal, KR Balan has BOB as well as, NOSIL as well as Vardhaman Textile. Should he shift out of these counters and go to Infosys and BOB instead? Both these counters are not doing well for him.
Absolutely yes.
Okay, Vijay, can the viewer look to buy Sula Wines at the current market price?
Well, I think that it has started showing some resilience, so you can buy for a short target 450 odd.
Atma wants to know, Kunal, Anantraj, a good buy at current market price for 1 year.
Yeah, I think 100 is a good level where you can look to buy the stock.
Anjali, a senior citizen, is holding Canfin Homes 75 shares at 525 and 250 shares of CSB Bank at 230 rupees. Vijay, what should she be doing with this?
Canfin hold a target of 6 and CSB, I think CSB also for target 70. Both of.
Okay, Kunal, this one is coming from Yogesh. He sold HCL Tech at a 10% profit when the market started being very volatile towards the end of January. Now he wants to know, should he re-enter or wait for some more correction? HCL Tech.
Yeah, I think good time to re-enter.
Vidya from Chennai is holding Thermax at a price of around 2030, Kunal, and she's making a good profit on it. Is it the right time to book a profit or continue holding it?
Continue holding on.
Okay, Chandan wants to know about Adani Wilmar, 265 rupees per share, 65 shares he has. Book profit or hold for the long term, Kunal?
Book profits.
Okay, Vijay, Akash from Delhi needs a view on Anup Engineering, bought at 1,150 rupees, 25 shares. What should they be doing?
Hold. I think that the stock has the potential of going to even 1,250. There you can probably book profits.
Alright, let me take one more query then, given the fact that it is Friday and Kunal didn't do his Pathshala today. So Madhuri wants to know RCTC, IEX or LIC, which one makes sense to buy right now for the period of 1 to 2 years, Kunal?
Yeah, just a correction, Pathshala didn't happen. It's not that I didn't want to do. But then I think out of the 3 names, IRCTC is something which I would recommend as a buy.
Absolutely, and with that we come to the end of the query segment. And yes, viewers, like Kunal mentioned, that we couldn't take Pathshala today, given the fact that we had paucity on time, and we would not be able to take as many queries as much was possible. So we will have this Pathshala very soon. But with that, we wind down with this session of queries. But we'll take a break on this edition of Buy Now Sell Now. Come back for